GOP lawmakers discuss marijuana rescheduling impact of another Trump presidency in interviews at the RNC. As the Republican National Committee convention comes to a close, a number of Republican congressional lawmakers are sharing predictions about the prospects of marijuana policy reform, including rescheduling if President Donald Trump wins another term in the White House in November. Perspectives were mixed in a series of interviews with Marijuana Moment this week as delegates formally voted to nominate Trump as the party's pick, and the former president announced his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio. While the general theme of the conversations was a difference to Trump's largely unknown cannabis policy desires, there were significant divides among GOP members about what they'd personally like to see happen. My buddy, Representative Brian Mast out of Florida, co-chair of the Congressional Cannabis Caucus, tempered concerns that a Trump administration would reverse course on the modest reforms that have been achieved under the Biden administration. Having, in quotes, new blood in the office with upcoming congressional elections means there will be more people who didn't lock themselves in to past prohibitionist positions that they're unwilling to depart from, he said, adding that those lawmakers are going to have a new position. To underscore that point, the congressman drew a parallel to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell from Kentucky and former House Speaker John Boehner from Ohio. While in office, both GOP leaders had opposed cannabis reform because they had longstanding positions on the issue while serving in elected office, and McConnell, who is still in office, has maintained that opposition. But since leaving office, Boehner has since advocated for federal marijuana reforms in his capacity as a lobbyist. Well, not to mention, too, he was the House Speaker when we first passed Rohrabacher-Farr, and so he was the reason that was able to even get included in the first place. So even though he had that position, he was still working that way. But nonetheless, in a quote, he was staunchly against it, and now he's like the biggest lobbyist client, most said. And with the majority of states having enacted legalization in some form, the congressman said, then it's the will of the people, and the Republican Party is supposed to be about states' rights, he says. Asked whether he had any concerns about the possibility that a Trump administration or GOP-controlled Congress would block the marijuana rescheduling proposal made by President Joe Biden's Justice Department, Mast said, "I don't think so, no." And he said that his argument to Republican colleagues who might raise the issue is that if you supported the states' rights philosophy of the U.S. Supreme Court case that overturned abortion rights under Roe versus Wade, you should apply that same principle to state cannabis laws. Representative Nancy Mace out of South Carolina, who sponsored legalization legislation, who was also asked about the prospect of a Trump administration rollback of rescheduling, and she didn't directly answer the question, but said, "I support rescheduling, but I support descheduling." And she says, "Leave it up to the states to decide," she said, echoing points she made during a separate interview at the RNC convention this week. But the interviews with Mast and Mace did not necessarily reflect the consensus, as other GOP lawmakers made clear they did not personally back reform, rescheduling, or otherwise, and didn't want to speak to the party nominee's position. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise from Louisiana, for his part, declined to address cannabis altogether when asked about it, instead stating that Republicans are looking at an agenda focused on getting the economy moving again, pointing out convention themes such as lowering inflation and tackling border security, for example. Representative Chuck Fleischman, Republican from Tennessee, who was among 25 GOP members who recently urged the Drug Enforcement Administration to keep marijuana in a Schedule I in a joint public comment on the proposed rescheduling rule, told Marijuana Moment that he wasn't sure how Trump would navigate the issue, but he said the former president is going to have to sit back and look at every executive order that this administration has put in, including rescheduling. In an additional quote, he says, "I can't speak to what he's going to do," he said. "I'm a fiscal and social conservative, so I've seen marijuana and other drugs ruin families. I'm going to defer all those decisions to Trump." In an additional quote says, I think it's part of the Republicans' ethos. I think we just need to refocus it. I think Nancy Reagan said it best when she said, just say no, he said. I think we would have to have massive education programs. We need to get that information out to the people so that they can make very strong decisions about any substance. He added that he plans to oppose the Justice Department's marijuana rescheduling proposal, and an additional quote says, I think ultimately right now it's with the states, he said. But the federal government, I think, is probably ultimately going to leave it where it's at in Schedule 1. Senator John Boozman, Republican from Arizona, told Marijuana Moment that he's more immediately interested in addressing federal hemp policy, voicing concerns about the consumable hemp product market that has come into sharp focus in recent weeks. As the House moves to enact bans on such items, Boozman said that he shares his GOP colleagues' perspective that there's a loophole in the 2018 Farm Bill that legalized the cannabis crop that needs to be stopped. He went on to say that while there may be certain conditions that medical marijuana can help with, he feels the scope of its treatment potential has been inflated, and the senator continues to believe that marijuana is a gateway drug. So he's only comfortable with it being prescribed by a physician for a limited set of conditions. In a quote, most of the states with medical marijuana, it's a wild west, Boozman said. I think it's really hard now. I think the states probably need to get it sorted out. On the other hand, I'm not for any federal expansion. Senator Bill Hagerty, Republican of Tennessee, another signatory on the anti-rescheduling letter, DEA, who has similarly argued that marijuana is a gateway drug, told Marijuana Moment that he doesn't view cannabis reform as a matter of liberty and freedom. That's very interesting. Rather, he looks at it as a patient with a great concern about where it leads. This is far stronger than anything that people were doing back in the 60s, he said. I certainly don't want to see this encouraged, and I didn't see anything in the GOP platform that would make me go otherwise. The Democratic National Committee, meanwhile, is touting Biden's marijuana pardons rescheduling moves while calling for broader reform to expunge prior records. Unlike in 2020, the party's latest draft platform that was approved by a party committee on Tuesday doesn't promote broader cannabis decriminalization, and the Biden campaign has also been stepping up its push to draw a contrast between the president's marijuana policies as opposed to those of Trump's. Well, some different deciding positions in the Republican Party, it sounds like, from the conference. But what do you two have to say about this?
It's just like we said yesterday, man. It's just a bunch of lip service till shit actually gets signed into the law. Mm-hmm. Period. So they can cater to their base all they want to right now, but we'll see.
Yeah, I feel that was a lot of catering to their base in all the comments, but. I did find I was very happy to hear Nancy Mace saying how she supports descheduling, and I think that's the message that needs to ring free. And I did find it super interesting the gentleman from Tennessee who says that he doesn't view it as a freedom issue. That is very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, my only issue with Nancy Mace ever has been the fact that she's backed by Amazon. You know what I'm saying? Like a big picture, like down the line, like. She's funded by Amazon.
You were the one that was just so happy about all the Prime specials just the last 2 days.
I don't buy my weed from Amazon now, and I probably never will.
I'm just saying that's the biggest flip-flop. I hope you bought a pair of flip-flops on Amazon Prime Day, Rico.
Did you get some flippy floppies? Mm-hmm. Maybe some swim trunks?
Mm-hmm. No, I got a new mesh banana hammock though. I'm gonna probably try it out this weekend.
Please keep that. That's for you and Jasmine, and we're gonna just defer to her, and she can tell us all about it.
No. That's the thirst trap.
No. It's weed for the people, not penis for the people. Keep that at your house.
X for the world.
Fair enough. And any thoughts on this, Dr. T or Dr. Mark?
It sounds like the Republican Party is putting a thumbs down to cannabis reform.
I mean, I mean, but there hasn't been any policy put forward, and Representative Mass is saying that they would just stay the course of what's going on. Meanwhile, while there is other prohibitionists within the party that would like to not see it go that way. That's how
and compare it to what the Democrats have done.
What have the Democrats done? How many people have gotten out of jail?
More than say we're going to defer any answers.
I mean,
they've said some things.
Yeah.
I mean, whether or not
they've actually produced bills and they just get swatted down by the Republicans every time. That's just is what it is.
I don't know, because there's legislation that's been introduced by Republicans that is far superior to anything any Democrats have entered into Congress. Speaking of Nancy Mace's bill, the States Reform Act.
Y'all do have a thing with that supremacy word, huh?
Wow.
Supremacy. I said States Reform Act. What are you getting all that from?
It started with an S.
Superiority. These superiority complexes run rampant.
Oh God!
The Republican Party these days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dog whistles bring them out, and Kristi Noem takes them down. She puts them down. Yeah, she does. Dog whistles and dead puppies.
Did you? Jenny Beth just threw in a super chat.
There's 2 of them. You should scroll up.
Oh man.
Boy.
Man. Oh, so let's. Why wasn't it? There we go. It won't scroll. It's not scrolling. I can't see it. It's not scrolling.
Oh my God. Operator error. I don't know, Jason. Make it figure it out. There you go, bud.
All right.
There we go.
We got about